Welcome to a Delco Nerd Network Hot Take. I'm your host, Anthony Rigucci, and you're probably asking yourself, Gooch, the hell's a hot take? Well, a hot take is where we get in the basement, we give our thoughts, give our opinions on a TV show, a movie, or a video game. Today, it's going to be a video game, and that video game is Resident Evil 2, the remake. Here to discuss, Chris Trio, as
What's going on, guys? Gooch, how are you?
I'm good. And they're probably saying, Gooch, you didn't play Resident Evil 2. And that's where I say, audience, you're right. I didn't play Resident Evil 2. No. But I know enough about it to have a conversation about it.
Yeah. keep the ball rolling.
So what we're going to be doing, we've done this before with the Walking Dead.
A few other, like one or two other things.
And
right?
maybe like one or two other things. Well, like the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
I'm essentially going to be asking Trio questions. He's going to be reviewing the game, and I'm going to have we're going to have a back and forth, but
sure,
Trio's going to be the one really reviewing it since he has played it
in
full.
Full.
Trio, what'd you think?
Really, really liked it. Resident Evil 2, so I guess, first off, I don't really have a ton of experience with Resident Evil, besides I played 7 and loved it. I'm a big horror game guy.
We actually reviewed that. You can see that on our YouTube channel or podcast apps.
I think that's on
Search Delco Nerd Network, you'll find us.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I really liked the whole tone it went for, just the idea of how you feel very slow, you don't have a lot of bullets, you feel like you're really kind of surviving. It makes you really get to know the map, and I did feel that in Resident Evil 2, and it's funny because obviously you can see this is a remake. You see how that bleeds over from that.
So the game, I know there are a few parts that go away from the police station.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're in the police station.
Yeah. So there's
the Raccoon City Police Department. Yeah.
Correct. There's like one part where you kind of go outside a little bit, but you basically end up coming
because I know you go to
right
the gun store that's a big, with Kendo's gun store, which is a huge like set piece for Resident Evil 2, even in the original one that's in it. And then I know there's some segments where you do play as Ada and you play as Sherry. Yeah. Just kind of depending on
which one you're playing as. Yeah.
Is A and which playthrough is B.
Yep.
Wait. Do you actually do them both in both? So in Leon's you play as Ada.
Yeah.
And in Claire's you play as Sherry, but it doesn't matter which order they're in.
No, it doesn't. So I think it's basically there's.
So you always get those.
So there's two different playthroughs, but in the way of I'd say, out of 100%, about 20% of the playthrough is different for each character. So I mean, the way it begins is different.
Have you gone back? And I know you did Leon A, Claire B.
I haven't done the third one yet, so I'm actually kind of still working through Leon a little bit. I finished it, but I went back to some saves because I missed some things that I wanted to get. But the Leon I kind of rushed through more. I played Claire the first time. So I don't know why I just kind of grabbed.
Oh wait, so you have gone through two times and switched them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is a different ending you get on the second playthrough, no matter what. Because I was curious, I looked up all the endings afterwards just to see if there were any differences, and there's I guess kind of 4 different endings depending on the way you play through it. So the first ending with Claire.
So, in the order you play it, or in the order, or in your gameplay choices?
So the first playthrough, I played as Claire, and I got one ending. But I looked up online what the second playthrough of Leon was. If you're playing as Leon for the second playthrough
for B,
it's slightly different than the A playthrough would have been if I played that through the first time, which is interesting and cool. And I really
gives the game a lot of replay value
for sure. And just the gameplay of this game I really enjoy. Just the slow, it's very dark. The zombies are extremely hard to kill. They can just jump on you out of nowhere. I'll go through doors and out of nowhere one's just on the side, just grabs your neck. You can obviously get a few things to get these zombies off you, but if you don't have anything, they just bite you, take your health down. And then you got Mr. X who you're dealing with for some of the game.
Gonna give it to you.
The first playthrough, he's only kind of meddling with you for half the time you're in the police station for the first part.
So for the A.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for Leon's, he's there from the get-go. It's slightly different, so you don't have as much.
He's not with Claire as much, but with Leon, he's there a lot.
Yeah, he's there the entire time. From the minute you get into the police station, you look at this one video camera, and he walks up and crushes the video camera, and then you run into him in a hallway in 5 seconds, and then he's just kind of stalking around the whole time, going for you. And that did remind me of what's his name from Resident Evil 7. I can't remember the dad's name, but he would be kind of lurking the halls as you're trying to get around and finding your stuff. One thing that kind of confused me was the puzzles for like getting the medallions at the beginning. I didn't know exactly, like, one I had to look up. Like, I was like, I don't know.
So I know there's a room that only Claire can get into,
Yeah.
and then there's a section that only Leon can get
Yep.
into. I know that, which is actually kind of confusing, because if I was playing, and I will, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get around to this series eventually. The only reason I probably didn't pick it up is one, Kingdom Hearts 3, and two, I want to play through this. Like, I've never played any Resident Evil game. As much as I know about the series, I've never.
You didn't play.
played
Yeah, you didn't play 7,
any
did
of
you?
them. Yeah.
Were you planning on getting that this year? Was that the one that, or what was the one that you were talking about possibly getting for this Halloween? I remember you wanted to change it up.
7.
Yeah,
because dude, I played. So usually every Halloween I play like some horror games, and I've just been playing the walking simulator ones.
Yeah.
Outlast 1, Outlast 2, Soma.
Just ones that you can only run away, and you really
and Until Dawn. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm just like, I gotta get away from them because they're.
You want a more action horror game.
Yeah, I gotta, like, I'm definitely Alien Isolation
for sure.
It's definitely gonna get played this year,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure. Well, like I was talking to actually Britt Brombacher from What's Good. She's a huge Resident Evil fan, and I'm like, should I play 7 first, or should I actually just play them in chronological order? And she was like, you might as well just play them in chronological. I was like, yeah, like start with 0 and go 1, 2.
Yeah.
Now that we have the remake, and the only thing is, 3 isn't really available anywhere.
And apparently the rumor next is that they're remaking that, right?
Yeah. I think we can get to that at the end,
sure.
kind of when we wrap up. What was I talking about?
You saying how you wanted to switch it up from me?
Oh yeah, but what were we talking about before that?
Just the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but
So
atmosphere-wise, this game's just breathtaking. Even looks-wise, graphics, it looks awesome. Mm-hmm. Like there's one part, I think it's in one of the trailers, where you just pick up this guy's head and his jaw like
it's in the
drops
trailers.
down.
Like
it's
insane. It's in the one-shot demo too, which I did play.
And just the character models, everything is just spot on, and it's very polished and good. And it's one of those games I love just walking around in. Like, you don't want to sprint, because if you sprint around that corner and there's a zombie that you're not anticipating,
or there's one on the ground and he comes up, and
I forget what those things are called. There's like the crazy, they're like
lickers.
And I play the game. Yeah, those things can be a bitch.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not ignorant to the games I don't play.
No, I love it. But it's just overall, just the tone of it can't be beat. And I love the inventory system. I mean, it makes you really kind of think about what you're carrying.
So is it similar to 7?
For sure, 100%. You have your
because I'm not sure how different the inventory systems are through each Resident Evil game, but I know it's like, you can only carry so much, and you got to bring it back to the chest.
And then you unlock like what are they called? Like bags, basically, that give you more inventory space. So by the end, I think you get like an extra 4 or 6 slots that you can kind of put stuff in, and then you got to realize what herbs you need to combine and stuff like that. So I mean, there's mechanics obviously to keep an eye out for, but I don't think it's overwhelming in any way. And I think if you're into these types of games, you will thoroughly enjoy yourself.
So on a horror level, do you think this game really like scared you? Jump scares? Like, what kind of horror are we expecting?
I guess it's I think it's I don't know.
I mean, I know Mr. X like literally pops out of nowhere, but like.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I found this scarier than Resident Evil 7. I'd say 7 was probably scarier, but I think the main fact of that is that 7's first person. Yeah, and I really do think a third-person game makes a difference, because like, you have this character model in front of you, and you feel like you and the character are there. Whereas when you're in the first-person view, I feel like you really are the character. And like, when something's coming up behind you, you're shitting your pants.
Yeah, and Outlast is really like a good series where like, you like
there's no separation.
Anytime like the big monster like comes up and like finds you, or like something happens, like it's fucking
it's adrenaline pumping. Yeah.
Like it really gets your heart racing.
Yeah, and even like, so I guess when I'd see Mr. X, I wouldn't be like scared, like, oh fuck, I gotta run. But then it's good, and I think he works, and I think it works even better the second time around, especially because he's just another obstacle you have to kind of maneuver, and then you hear his like pounding as he's coming up, because he walks super heavy, and you're like, oh fuck, he's coming, I don't know where to go, which door, and then you go through the wrong door and he's standing right fucking there. And it's good, it really is, and scary for sure. And it becomes, actually, I don't know if overwhelming is the right word, but there's a lot more, especially in that second playthrough, where I think there's a lot more zombies in the station, just period. And then also you're dealing with Mr. X on top of that. So you're trying to outrun Mr. X. You go through a door, and there's a fucking zombie on the other side that you're not prepared for. He gets you, bites you, and you're on the ground. And then Mr. X gets you, and you're fucked. But I think it does a really good job of keeping you in the moment. But there are some pacing issues, I think, like I said, with the puzzles and stuff like that. I was having trouble
pacing with just the way the game is.
I guess not pacing, maybe direction. Like, because it just says find these 3 medallions. And then it's like, okay, where do I start? And like, if you're a smart person, you're gonna figure it out. But it took me a little while longer. I remember in the earlier,
it's not holding your hand.
Not at all. It just says it has your objectives in the corner.
It's different. That's cool.
Find these 3 medallions. How you're gonna find those, you don't know. But you go throughout the game, you get these little puzzle unlocks. Like there's one where you're gonna find this book, and there's a statue, and you got to put the book in the statue, and then it releases something for you. And I find it really cool how you can examine things in your inventory. So, like, you get this police badge, and it just looks like a police badge. But if you examine it, you turn it around, you slide it up, it's a USB port that you use to unlock. Yeah, no, but, like, so, like, there would be things where I was like, oh, what the fuck am I doing? I'm missing something here. And then I didn't realize, oh, I have the thing in my inventory. I just needed to examine it, and then that would lead me to the next thing. But yeah, I think maybe it could do with a little bit more direction sometimes, but maybe not. Maybe that is why the people who like these games love these games. And I mean, I did by the end really enjoy it and didn't find it as bad. It was more in that.
7 seems to be easier.
7, I found it, a little bit more directional. Like they were definitely funneling you in the ways that you needed to go, if that makes any sense. Like leading you to the things like you need to get the key.
So 7 is a little more linear.
A little bit more, yeah. I would say so. Because I wouldn't even know linear, if linear is the right word. Yeah, it's more contained, I think, especially because that mansion or the house you're in, like, I knew that like the back of my hand, like, by the end of it. Like, you don't need the map, especially because you're just running around the whole time.
Yeah.
And, like, by the end of the game, you can really kind of navigate that blind, whereas this, it's bigger. There's a lot, there's like 4 or 5 different levels, and then once you get down to, like, the other area and stuff like that, it can become a little bit of a lot, but I will say for the most part, once you're done with an area, like you're pretty much done. And I really like the system that they have of you have your map and everything's red in the rooms if you haven't searched that whole room. So once you get everything out of that room, supplies wise, it turns blue.
So if you miss something,
it'll stay red. The room.
That's helpful.
So you go back to the room, and if you do find something, say like an herb or something like that, it shows up on the map. So it's always there. You know that it's there.
That's cool.
And you can go back for it if you don't have the inventory space, say, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helpful, and I do think it would make it a lot harder.
Because I'm one of the persons that, like, especially in this kind of game where, like, limited inventory, like, I want to pick everything up whether I'm, like, using it or not. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's pretty cool that I can, like, the game is taking record of shit I haven't picked up. Exactly. Even if it's just a herb or like ammo,
and it just like basically has the map and there's a tiny little icon there and you can scroll over and it says what's here. Because even like you'll walk by something and your character will see it, maybe you don't see it, and you're looking back on the map and you're like, oh, there's a knife here? I didn't even see that. So you can go back and grab it.
Knives are not permanent.
No, so
which I think usually in most Resident Evil games, knives are permanent.
And like it's funny, you can like take it out and slash with it. But I never use that. Basically,
how did you use it?
It's basically when you would get attacked by a zombie, you can press L1 and it's like a counter and it gets them off you without them biting you. But you lose the knife in them. You have to shoot them to get it back off their corpse. Like
so, how most Resident Evil games go, especially 4. I guess 4 would be. Well, I don't know. I feel like you see. I've watched a bunch of Resident Evil streams, and. In 4, a great tactic is like shooting them in the leg, and then you just knife them while they're down, and you slash them with it.
Oh, see, I didn't know you could do that. You might be okay.
And I've seen somebody do it with Resident Evil 2, 3 Dog.
Okay, watch the streams. That's good to know. I'm gonna try that out.
Yeah. So like how I know how to take down zombies from watching it is you get them down and you slash them.
See,
but like I was trying that in a demo, and I feel like it wasn't working.
Yeah.
I was just like, why are these guys so hard to fucking kill? Dude, speaking of hard to kill, what difficulty did you play on?
Normal.
Okay.
I didn't want.
So is it the first difficulty?
I think it was like there's like a casual whatever you want to call it.
Casual, normal, hardcore.
Yeah, something like that.
I know hardcore is pretty difficult.
I think there's even one above hardcore that you have to beat the game first to unlock, if I'm not mistaken. That might be wrong, because I think people have played it from like the hardest difficulty from the get-go. But, yeah, I mean, it was challenging enough, but it does make it like, okay, now I'm going to go in on the harder difficulty because I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing, and maybe I can get through it and have that little extra challenge. There is a ton of replay value, like we said before. I really do appreciate that.
Especially with the free DLC which is coming out, the Ghost Survivor.
That's another thing I meant to say that.
I play as Kendo and the Mayor's Daughter and Hunk, who fans will definitely know.
Yeah, I wish I played more of those before we got on this, because I just found out about them yesterday. I logged on.
You didn't know about it?
I didn't realize that they were releasing them, and then I got on and they were like, and it was like episodes. Yeah, so you can play as this block of fucking tofu. But yeah,
which is a callback to the original.
You can unlock like a bunch of different costumes apparently. Right? Or in the original you could.
Yeah,
too.
No, I think Tofu and Hunk are like costumes. Actually, no, I think Hunk does have a playthrough. I'm not exactly sure how the original goes, but we will talk. I definitely want to hit talking about the original before we wrap up.
Sure, yeah.
But, not that we're close to wrapping up.
No, yeah.
What were we talking about?
No, just I don't know. I can't remember now.
We're talking about the DLC.
Oh yeah, the DLC. I wish I would have liked to play more of them before we got on here to give my kind of more thoughts on them. But I think that's awesome because I went in. I thought they were going to be you had to pay for them, and then you could just go in and play them right away. So that's
costumes
really cool.
We were talking about.
Oh yeah, costumes.
I know you can get the originals for Leon and Claire.
Yeah, it's funny. I was playing as Leon's for a little bit. It looks kind of goofy, but that's the point.
Both look goofy.
Yeah. Especially Claire's looks super. I wasn't playing as her though, so that's why it didn't seem as bad. Yeah, I loved the voice actors for Claire and Leon. I thought their performances were good.
Okay.
I thought all the cutscenes were just like I said. The animation's awesome, and even just. You know what it kind of reminds me of the facial animations? It reminds me of like Spider-Man from this year, like in the way they did a really good job. Last year, wow, yeah, and they just did a really good job with each cutscene. I felt the story was pretty easy to follow. I mean, if you I've never played this game before, and I got it. There were some a little confusing bits, but then they got filled in near the end.
Do they reference one a lot? I'm not really sure if the original does.
I wouldn't even know. That's the issue.
So I guess the only reason they would reference one is talking about a mansion.
Maybe
because the characters don't know. So I mean, the way the games are written. So 0 comes out after 2 comes out. So 0's before 1.
Okay.
And then 1, the only thing that's really going on is like all the stars, agents. Chris Redfield's one of them. Barry Burton, Jill Valentine, Rebecca Chambers, who's a character in 0, Wesker, and I think there's one more.
Okay.
And they're all investigating the Wesker mansion to find out what's going on with the T virus. I'm pretty sure it's a T virus.
I think I have Resident Evil 1 on PlayStation. I think they released it for free. The remaster or the remake.
Available on PS4. Which is the one I'll be playing.
I guess I should play that too.
Yeah, I guess the characters don't know. But it happens like.
So who do you play as in the first one? Is it Chris Redfield and
Jill and Chris?
Okay,
and it's the same thing where it's like the A/B playthrough.
Yeah,
and
those are 2 totally different playthroughs though, aren't they? For the first one, I thought that's what I was reading.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Because even in Resident Evil 2, the original, the story beats are like kind of different. I know there's references to certain things, but I know. Like the gun store is like right in the begining of the game, right when you get there. Like it's one of the first things you do.
Yeah.
But like in the remake, it's like kind of later.
Yeah.
And I know the story is like generally the same, but there's some changes. So Resident Evil 2 is more a remake or a retelling. Like it's updated graphics, updated gameplay, but like. It really, besides like the story being like somewhat the same, it's not really,
the exact same
it's not
gameplay
really
down to the
or not
it's
like
very much
an
unfolds,
updating and a remap.
No, it is.
It's not a remaster. It is a remake because
yes.
they're doing. The game is not playing in its original engine or like even trying to mock it. It's like it's updated for 2019, 2018.
Yeah,
or
I
2019 it came out this year.
Speaking to the 2 different campaigns, maybe I would have liked to see them be a little bit different because the way it doesn't really make sense is like you're in this place doing this thing that Claire just did in the last playthrough, but Claire was supposed to have been doing this before, so wouldn't all this have been open when you came in? Like, how is she getting down to these spots already, and it's not open for you? Like, did she just close it all up and put the medallions back? Like, I don't...
It's a video game, man.
No, it's exactly it. So that's... And, hey, I have zero complaints. I really did have a great time with this game. I think my first playthrough took me, like, 7.5 hours. It tells you your playthrough time. It's
pretty quick.
Which is awesome. Yeah. And like
so A is like 7, and then what's B?
B, I can't remember.
I know B is shorter, right?
B was short, just especially because you know what you're doing, and you can kind of run. You're running from room to room.
Well, no, I think just B is shorter in general.
Oh, is it? I might not. Oh, I didn't feel it. I felt it in the way of like.
Oh, okay.
I just knew what I was doing.
So yeah. That's what I've heard. Maybe it's because you know what you're doing.
And like you're just kind of running through the things a little bit more quickly. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. Just overall, I would recommend this to anyone who likes a good horror game, and even just an action. I think it's not super heavy action. You're moving slowly. Your bullets take a lot of shots to kill a zombie. I mean, that's one thing. I'm a little confused on exactly why certain shots would kill a zombie in one shot and not in others. So, like, I'd be laying into this one zombie. I swear to God, he got up like 7 times when I went by him. Every time he had no legs. And I'd be like, pop, and he's like, "Urgh." And then I'd walk by, he's like, "Rrr." And then every time I come by, he'd come back up again. I'm like, what the fuck? And then one zombie I'd shoot, and their head would just pop like a balloon, like once. And I'm like, what is the difference here? But, yeah, I would have maybe liked to see a little bit more difference in the campaigns. But I really don't have any gripes.
You did like the story, just the way it.
Yeah, the idea of the T, like with. So
you can like talk to me about it because I don't know like the finer details of the story. I know like, I guess Hunk's team, the Umbrella team is going in there to get Birkin, and Ada's kind of like following up on them, and then she runs into you, and Sherry's an orphan because they were experimenting on orphans in Raccoon City.
I'm trying to remember Leon's. I remember Claire's a little bit better just because. With Sherry, so you of course run into her, and then she gets taken by the police chief, and then you're going down to get her back. You don't really know why, and then it all unfolds that they were trying to, and I can't remember exactly why, but they were trying to stop the doctor from completing the G virus or whatever, the T virus, or like keep working on it.
She's gonna.
I completed this. Like
I think she's releasing it to not the government. Yeah, I think she was gonna sell it to the government.
And then, Umbrella came in to basically take it back.
Because Umbrella was fucking her over. Something. Yeah.
The doctor takes it. He becomes G or whatever. That's what he's basically the big monster that you face like 3 or 4 different times throughout the game. And so there's actually a secret boss at the end on the second time around.
Oh really?
Yeah. Spoilers. We're in spoilers. You basically think you killed G again, and then. He basically turns into this big blob thing. The first ending, you just see like this tentacle fall out.
Yeah, I've seen the ending. Yeah.
For like on the train, but the second time around, you actually fight him, you blow him up, and then it's Claire, Leon, and Sherry walking out. And
do they escape on the train?
They escape on the train, but then they're out on a road somewhere, and they're just walking.
So the second game ends with this really like corny like song.
Yeah,
they're on the train and Leon says something cheesy, and it's like yeah.
Wait,
is it like that? This one?
It fades out really weird in the way of like. He walks in, Leon, and then she goes, "Oh hey, we're all good now, yeah." And then that's just it. Like it's just weird.
Because the first one like is not necessarily like serious.
No,
I would assume this one is a little more serious.
I definitely think it's serious, but it does have
Resident Evil is like pretty extreme.
It does have those certain campy elements of like he's just stabbing. He's like, "Get out of here, you fuck!" And like he's like stabbing the gigantic eyeball. Like it's good. I think it works. I do think it works. I think overall tone-wise, it's not very, like,
one thing
jumpy.
I heard that's weird is how, like, Claire's, like, totally infatuated with Leon, like, and they meet, like, 2 minutes ago.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like,
it's definitely more older. Like, he kind of saves her, so she's like, oh, hey, I didn't find it her infatuated, but, like...
there's a scene where, like, they're on, like, the sides of the fence. And, like, I think it's, like, the last time they really see each other until the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
And, like, the interaction with, like, Claire's, like... Hey.
It's like, oh hey, that's why we gotta stop meeting like this. Yeah. It definitely. It's not like in Fast, but it's like you wouldn't say that in a zombie apocalypse right now.
Yeah,
like, come on. Yeah, no, that is funny.
How about the? I mean, since it's a horror game, sound and music is pretty important. What'd you think about that?
Awesome.
if anything?
I mean, just the sound design in the way of like I said, you hear Mr. X down the hallway. You don't know where he is. He's just
give it to you.
like pounding. And you're like, oh god.
There's a mod that like plays that song once he comes out.
Just the zombies, the sounds they make, real creepy. Like just like the super gurgly. Just you don't want to be near that zombie. And they're again, I do like that they didn't go with the super fast like clicky zombies.
So like, is there like, do you fight like 2 or 3 at a time, or is there any one part where there like a horde?
So no, there's not like a. It's more like you're running into them more one-on-one, but obviously there are more. Like if you start shooting, more will start coming. So you want to kind of avoid that as much as possible, and obviously you're just trying to save your ammo because the ones that you really kind of want to watch for are the lickers, and then also when you get later in the game, I don't know what they're exactly called, but they're like these fungus people, like plant zombie people. They look creepy as fuck, but like they have these pores on them or spores that you have to shoot, and that's how you kill them. But those guys can really fuck you up. Like if they catch you once, they'd like Venus flytrap your face because their face is a Venus flytrap. It's crazy. I really like the more enemy variety in this compared to Resident Evil 7. Because with Resident Evil 7,
monsters, right?
you just have the molded people, and
mob monsters,
and they're very samey.
Yeah.
Except for like you run into a boss in Resident Evil 7 that's very reminiscent of G with like the big eye things and all that stuff, and they are his weak points again. So it was cool seeing like, oh, this is where these callbacks come from in Resident Evil 7, especially after playing Resident Evil 2. I don't know how much of like that inventory system worked the same way in the original. And,
I
assume like the saving and everything is yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
Pretty much the only thing I think I have left is Ada. Since you do play as Ada Wong and Sherry, how's the Ada like section compared to Chris, Leon and Claire? Is it like pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same.
I know she has like a hacking tool.
Yeah, that's based. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean it wasn't anything too much crazier. I maybe preferred the Sherry stuff
because you aren't in combat.
Yeah, and you're kind of.
So what do you do as hers? As
Sherry,
I've never seen hers.
You just are kind of running. It's more puzzle solving stuff, and you're trying to get away from Birkin, and the police chief, and he's just you figure your way out of a room, and then you're basically trying to contact Claire, and you finally get to her, and then does he get her?
Gives it to you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Those portions of the games are the ones that I kind of forget the most.
I mean, they're just one-off.
They were just those like one-off things. So yeah,
and they're kind of towards the end.
Yeah, probably in the third act. I'd say it probably tees up the third act is where those come in.
You know, what I think's really cheesy about Leon's when Ada kicks you the rocket launcher.
Hey. Yeah, no,
well, it's like that couldn't have been more Resident Evil, like.
And I think I do love those little moments, like. Yeah, for the most part, it is this kind of serious, like, oh my god, there's fucking dead people walking around everywhere. But there are those moments of camp that I do think kind of punctuate well on the scenes. But
is 7 really like that or no?
7's, I think it's more serious. Probably there are. And I guess there are those moments of camp.
What's the son's name?
Lucas.
I know he's really
he's like
jokey.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, which kind of could like
sociopathically jokey, of course. But yeah. No,
fucking like balloon nails and shit.
Yeah. No, I think
honk.
7 might be like again. I do find 7 a little bit more scary and just a little bit more serious. Just I think because of that first person difference. I really do think it makes much more of a difference, and you feel a little bit less a little bit more helpless in 7, whereas like in this, I felt a little bit more comfortable most of the time, if that makes any sense. But don't get me wrong, there's some parts, especially when you get down in the garage, where you're dealing with the lickers and shit, that are scary as shit. And there's some pretty good jump scares that like I didn't see coming, and that's rare, and I appreciate that a lot. Like there's little stuff. Like, I'm walking under a door or trying to get to a door, and there's, like, a zombie hanging out of the ceiling. And I'm walking under it, and it just slides down a little bit. And it's just enough to, like, oh, fuck you, pieces of shit. Or I'm walking by one guy, he's sitting on a bench like this, and you're like, oh, is he going to get up, or is he not? Because whenever you see a zombie on the floor, I mean, they might be dead, or they might get up. And he's just slumps as you go by him. You're like, oh, you fucking piece of shit. But
that's cool.
It's good.
So, I mean, Resident Evil 2 had a lot of success. More success than the original.
Yeah.
I don't think the original sold nearly... No, it didn't sell anywhere as well as this did. And I think we pretty much locked in so Resident Evil 3 is called Resident Evil Nemesis. I think we pretty much locked that in.
Do you think
it's
we'll
gonna
get
happen.
the 8, like the proper follow-up for 7, though, at some point?
Yeah, but
Or do you think they're going to be congruent? Like
every
they're going to be
every
developed?
Resident Evil game has either been ported or redone or remastered, and 3 has not been touched at all.
Yeah.
And again, before this, 2 was the same way. So I feel like they have to... I feel like I would like to see that treatment done with Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil that's really not that popular.
Yeah.
I feel like 1 and 2 and 4 are the Resident
big ones,
Evils, the big ones.
Okay.
And then I think 3 kind of fades into the background a bit because, like, I don't even know much about 3. Like,
Yeah.
I really couldn't even... Besides Nemesis
Yeah, you
T-Type,
see,
he's in it.
you see, yeah.
Stars. Yeah, like, you know that. Like, I think, like, that's what everyone knows about Resident Evil 3 if you haven't played it.
Yeah.
He's just that dude.
And this makes me want them to do the Resident Evil 8 or whatever the next proper thing is in this style. Like, I do want
to... Sorry.
I do. I'd love to see this third-person perspective come back. I mean, they already started making their steps towards all the other stuff with just the mechanics of 7.
I think a Resident Evil 8 will happen, but I think I want to see the Resident Evil 3 be remade before that.
I agree.
Because I want to play the entire series, and, like, 3 is where
you can't even...
Is the roadblock. Because, like, I don't even think it's on current-gen consoles in any
form.
regard.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
It might be streamed on PSN now, but who does that?
PS Now,
Nobody.
I remember I got the free trial one time.
Well, they upgraded it. Now you can download games.
Oh, you can?
Apparently.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Pass,
I think it's too... It's too late for that.
No, I wouldn't... This is a whole nother podcast topic. I don't think it's necessarily too late, but I do think they really kind of shot themselves in the foot with the rollout of, like,
I just
the
think
streaming
the
and stuff.
attention's not there for it.
But if they started doing something like Microsoft, where, like, all right, we have this service and we release all of our first-party games on here the minute they launch... That would, I think, change things. But again, this is a whole nother topic. I think that's about it for me on Resident Evil 2, though. Did you have any other questions? I'm trying to think.
Nah, not really.
Yeah.
I think, you kind of solidified or, just backed up what I've heard about this game. That it's just fucking good, awesome.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park. They really did.
And it is a lot different from 7.
Yeah.
And, I think it's saying that there's want for more Resident Evil, whether that's the remake for 3 or
a whole new installment.
A whole new one, yeah. And either within like a the PT first person style that we kind of got with 7, or a third person game.
Totally.
I'm not sure which one they would do, but I think there's room for both.
Yeah, I think there is too. I really do hope that we do get that 3 remake, and I'd love to see an 8 down the line sometime, or just either one of them. I'll take either one of them next, because this was really a fun time, and I still want to replay it a third time. I do. So
That's good.
Take that as you will. But I think that about wraps us up here. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us. If you're watching us live on twitch.tv/Delco Network, we really do appreciate it. You can find us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Delco Network, as well as our website, www.com/Delco Network. We post all of our podcasts and stuff.
You said www.com.
W.87, yeah, on our website, DelcoNerdNetwork.com. Twitter, Instagram, @TheDelcoNerds. You can find this on podcast services, mainly on iTunes as well as Google Play. I'd love to get us on Spotify, but it's very complicated. I don't know how to figure it out, but maybe someday. Please give us reviews on there too. They really help kind of boost us up and get our views up, all that good stuff. I don't think I'm missing anything, Gooch, am I?
You're solid.
Awesome. For Gooch, I've been Trio. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Stay nerdy.